I set up for the second of the workshops. This time we're doing poppies today, very loosely and slab-like. I'll show finer ways of working. What I'm also going to show them this morning, because we've got plenty of time now, we've done the main introduction in the first week, is how to use a sponge and just paint with our fingers. So in the necessity of everything, if we forget our brushes, if we get everything, just have one bit of sponge or something to texture with, it is possible to paint acrylics just using your fingers. So I've primed a little bit of paper black to do that already, although we could work on a plain paper. And I'll demonstrate that with a nice little canal scene in the Canadian canal. Then we're going to move on to the poppy scenes. They've all got canvases today. This is one under glass. This is done on paper. It's much finer than we'll be doing today, framed up and mounted. The picture we're going to be doing is this one. So it's from the same day, but we're going to be doing it on canvas. All the paints. So we have all the paints ready for them, and the visual aids, my brushes. They've got their own brushes, but I've got some for sale here as usual. And I'm set up just here in the foreground. I'll work for them there bit by bit, and they'll just follow me step by step. So what I'm going to do first is have you come around here, and literally I'm just going to have some fun doing kiddie stuff first, but actually it's quite serious, quite fun. When you get into it, I'm going to use my fingers and sponges to paint this scene. This is the Canadian Canal in Wiltshire. We could do that in many ways. I mean, that could just be done with a brush and then stippling the brushes. It could be done as I'm going to do, just by blending the backgrounds with my fingers and then using sponges. If we were watercolour, we'd be doing wet and to wet washes in the background. We'd let it dry, and then gradually, as it became dry, we gradually work up stippling into it, say with a Haycock brush like that, until we got to the dry stage where we get hard, sharp edges. And of course, we could even be doing some texturing with masking fluid at the start to get very light or sharp effects if we want. But today we're just going to have a bit of fun. I'm just introducing these new abstract series of paints that I've just bought one of to try out. They look to be quite versatile, and it means we can get all of the paint out of the plastic bag. So when I'm doing bigger abstracts and things, I'm going to be able to squeeze larger amounts out, which is nice for me as well. And they weren't that expensive either, so that was quite reasonable. So by all means, have a look at that later. I'm not even going to bother drawing it out. Just what I want to do is just show you the effects we can get. So I'm literally going to be doing my kiddie thing, and I want to start off with a lighter background, so a little bit of white. Mix that up with my fingers, just get things going. And you can get lovely effects with your fingers as well. Nothing to say, you can use cloths, we can use sponges, there's all sorts of different ways we can paint with. So I'm just going to work this up and let the dark ground do some of the work. Quite loosely, quite lightly. You can see already how I'm getting some nice effects there. And just little bits of light coming through up here. Now remember, these same techniques we can be using with brushes. So even when you're doing your poppies today, there's nothing to stop you at any time from just using your fingers to come in. I've got directional strokes here, so I want to start getting some directional strokes for these little bits of tree here. Just touching with my fingertips. And the brush is only an extension of your fingers. It's down through your eyes, to your fingertips, through then to the brush. And we're just doing the same here with my fingers. Let's just now start to, let's see, where does that come about here? It's surprising. Now we want to get some reflection, so again with water, do your verticals. A bit more water just to blend it. Do your verticals first with smoother water, and then start the horizontals. It's quite different when you're doing moving water, which is much more gestural. But when you're doing smooth water like this is coming already, you know, just, I mean, you could have a coloured ground. We could have had a very deep blue or a very deep purple ground, or I've just used black, it's a bit dead, but it'll be all right for this job. Start to bring some of those lighter colours over. Want to get rid of anything, we just go back and wash it out a bit. Use your finger, use your hand, use a paper towel even. You can use cloth with oil paint, all sorts of things to paint with. And even start to get the feeling of the branches there. Right, now I'll start to make some colours. I'm leaving the darks behind deliberately. I'll take some blue, some cerulean blue now. Just start to work up my blue and colours in the background. Just softly here. I want to get this misty effect of light. This is all just to show you the versatility of acrylics and the fun that we can have. People get so serious, so precious about it. It's a bit of canvas, it's a bit of paint. We're supposed to just have fun, but make your marks about what we're doing. So that's the important thing, is keep your marks and your strokes about what you're doing. A little bit stronger with the greens there, the yellows. Too much white in that. A little touch of green. Jelly like this because it's a heavy body. It's not taken to my fingers quite so easily. There we go. A bit of that. I want more texturing in a minute, so I'm just going to just hint at these colours here coming through. A bit more yellow. There we go. I don't want too much colour there because I'm going to be using the sponge for that. Just want to get the effect of light, and when you get this in the distance you'll be quite surprised how well this will work. I've done this with children and they love doing this. They think, oh, it's mad, you know, how can you do it? Because they think, you know, at school, oh, finger painting, oh, it's just for kids, but it's not. Look, we can do lovely things, but and the things for children is you want them to enjoy, and once they get their fingers into something like this, you'll see I've got my partner's granddaughter comes over and she does some painting with me in different areas. This is one of the first things she did and loved it.
Mm. They like getting their fingers in it.
Oh yeah, but the thing is slowing them down. It's not just a mess. I've got to look, and they've still got to. You see, I'm doing these verticals first. Yeah, so we're just feeling those verticals. Now I'm going to go to the warms a little. Still using the same colours, blending them in slightly. Let's start to get some of these slightly warmer. I'm just scumbling it. Scumbling is a lovely word. Some of my past students' favourite words. I want to have the best word piece, scumbling. Scumbling is when we use a slightly dry brush technique over the surface of things. And here again, it's a little bit of that colour just coming down here. Take some more of the blues now. The blues, baby. I'll have some of those cools coming down into here. Just use my hand to texture these leaves a little bit just here. I do want some of the same going on through and down here. Right, got my apron on today. I usually have a smock. I use what I like to use is a fisherman's smock, the traditional canvas ones. Got two nice pockets. Oh, they're great.
From Cornwall, you know, back in the day.
Yeah, that's where I got mine from. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got rid of it because, you know, like one of those. I wish I had it.
Oh no.
But it must have been 40 years old or something.
You can still buy them online.
And they've got pockets, yeah.
Well, yeah, they're great. They're cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Okay, now brush, sponge. Got a couple of sponges. Do you know, I don't know where my sponges go. I've got beautiful sponges and always kept them in there, and they've gradually vanished, and I'm very suspicious about some students. Yeah. So we want a fairly textural one. Right, what we're going to do is get an effect of light cascading down. So I'll take a brush, doesn't matter which one, just one to mix with at the moment. And I want to start making up these lighter greens. So a little bit of that, a little bit of that. Start with our light colours first, and then we'll just tint it down a little bit with some emerald. And if we're careful, now which way is going to be the best on this one there? Probably there. Let's have a look at that.
You don't wet it first? Then?
Nope. You can, but if you wet it, you're going to get very wet paint.
Yes,
so
you
don't want to be doing that.
You get splodges instead.
Yep, that's right. And remember to twist the brush. So we can gradually work these up. A bit more white in there for the lighter areas. And you wouldn't believe you can turn out a fun painting just with your fingers. And so there you are. I mean, all sorts of necessity is the mother of invention, isn't it? Because I'm going to bring the sky into the leaves here. When I've been out of white spirit and painting oil paints up in Scotland once, I siphoned some petrol out of the car. You know, because what can you do? You've got to mix your paint. So now again here, I'm going to just drag that down a fraction, rather than use a sponge straight, and we get a few little effects, not too much. Just dragging it down a little bit to get the feeling of that, rather than just straight across. And we'll leave some of them. We won't use them all. Just leave some, one or two little bits of light in between. We don't want a pattern. So some of them I'm leaving, some of them I'm just blending out. Going right the way down through into here. Some light there. Going through here. Back into our greens again and yellows. Now a bit more yellow in that. And a little bit warmer yellow now. Remember what I said about warms and cools, the hues. So now we're doing a warmer hue of yellow. It's a little bit more chrome. Right up through, down. and we can use a heavier sponge to make bigger marks, obviously, as we go on. A bit more blue now into it. Start to find some of these shapes down here.
I assume if you were doing that with oils, you'd have to do...
You wouldn't normally use a sponge with oils. Nothing to say you can't, but cleaning a sponge with oils is such a messy... It's okay with acrylics, as long as you get them, you know, washed out quick enough.
That's just what I was going to ask you, how do you clean them?
Yeah, you have done it with oils, but it's a real messy job, and it messes the sponge up as well afterwards, and you can't really, because it's got oil-based stuff in it, it doesn't really work very well after that.
Yes.
So we'll just build up this cascade of leaves coming through, just hinting at them. Get some leaf coming down there. And I've almost got the effects I want with that. Now I want to go darker, we'll go the other way around, we've got light against dark. Remember when you're painting snow, and snow is falling, where there's a dark area, you paint light snow, and where there's a light area, you're painting dark snow. It's not just white snow. It's white anyway, so it's going to be a colour, but your snow is going to be, say I had snow coming here, I'd paint a grey. I'd be texturing grey. Here I'd be painting the lighter snow. Right, let's come down to these warmer colours.
So you don't actually clean the sponge in between?
I haven't needed to, no. If I was
just changing which surface you use, or just...
No, just using the same, yeah. And even letting some of the colours mix, look, just to get the effect. You see I'm having some yellow and some pink, and so that these colours come in.
Would you rinse the sponge out of water?
I would eventually, yeah. If I really wanted a clean sponge, I'd have to. But this is the same with the sponge rollers. When we use them shortly, you'll be seeing how to use them too. We don't have to keep washing them out. It's only when we come to a much lighter or clean colour that you really need to do that. Now, of course, when we start getting these warms, then the whole thing starts to appear a bit more. Do the same thing. I'm going to drag the sponge a bit here just to get these effects of mistiness. So quick, just with the sponge and our fingers. I mean, I will use a brush at the end just to show you how we can put branches in, but it's not entirely necessary. You could even use a finger to do that, or a bit of stick even. You know, you could just cut a bit of stick off a tree and use that to paint with. Stick and ink is lovely. Indian ink and stick on newsprint, beautiful, or on cartridge for drawing with. It's nicer, a chopped off stick is nicer than a pen. Right, what I'm going to do now at this stage, I don't want my sponge to dry off, so at this stage I would just try and wash that off. I don't need to do too much more with this, but now I could use a stick, China graph pencil even here, look. You can use that. So they're semi-waterproof, put that in there because there's a reason for that. So very, very handy as China graph pencils, again, that one. Now, take one of my small brushes, just for the hell of it. That's a fill with, I don't need to fill that down. And I'm just going to finish with a brush here, and then we'll put it up at the distance and you'll see what I mean. Now I could go back with more lights. In fact, I might just do that. A few more lights, yes, especially at the background there. Just
is that at the top of the river there?
Yeah, just the top of the just to get the feeling of light coming through here a bit more. Right at the back, and down here, and I want a bit more light up and through here as well. And if you want to finish off, I'm going to take a little bit of black and Prussian blue. But these things like these branches now, we can start to paint those in. Remember, you just brush skills, just use the tip of the brush, start light, the harder you push, the thicker the line's going to be. So you could do this, if I just take my brush and I can do that, you can use a stick, you see. So if you had a bit of branch out there, you could just use a bit of branch. So if you're stuck, we can paint almost whatever. It's like the cavemen, you know, they had number 3s and number 0s and number... Right, I'm going to put that at a distance. You see how effective that is. You can see how you could work it up.
Isn't it? It's so lovely. It's very...
And that's just with our fingers and a little bit, the right colours and the right places and the right shapes. It's a jigsaw. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There we are. So that's your first amazing lesson this morning.
When you're painting like that and you know that as it moves away from you, you're going to see the picture, Are you aware of that as you're looking at it?
Oh, yes.
That's the, and I'm sure you are, because it's really lovely. And that's
Starting with the black background.
Yes, but you could have had a deep colour of any colour.
But it makes all the difference, doesn't it? Different.
Right, the first thing I'm going to do is discuss these acrylic inks. I use the FW series. They ain't cheap, but they go a long way. Sometimes you can't put them back in again once you put them out. So, but they do have this lovely little glass nozzle inside, which is very handy. And I've also got with me a little diffuser. I'm having a slightly smaller diffuser is handy, but this we'll just do today. The thing with acrylic inks is once they're dry, they're dry. And you can't move, if you're on paper or anything else, you've got to keep them down, keep them moving, otherwise. So looking at colours now, I'm going to use the watercolour method at first here, so I'm going to take a hake brush. That's a hake brush. Nice, if you've ever seen Ron Ransom's work, hake and rigger. He can paint an entire painting just with a hake and a rigger. I tend to use my oval mop, which is this one. I tend to use my oval mop and a rigger rather than the hake, but because I find it even more versatile. But the beauty of the hake is you've got big washes, plus you can do textures if it's slightly drier, which I'll show in just a moment. So if we do, hopefully it will now. And I want to play with textures. Now I haven't done this before. I've done other things on canvas, and I've worked with acrylic inks on canvas and so on. But whatever I do, I like to experiment and explore, and I just enjoy painting. Just for the fun, I'm going to put a slightly darker ground into here, just to show you how we can use these. And one of the nice things about these is, and I'm doing it on a vertical deliberately, I'm showing you to see my drawing, is that we've got a nozzle we can draw with. So if you've got paper and you're using these on it, you can actually draw with that nozzle. So if I just take now my brush.
What did you say they were called, please?
These are FW acrylic inks.
Okay.
And if you want, you see how we can start to get effects straight away by dribbling and trickling. Unfortunately, I say this canvas is it's like a silk finish rather than which is okay for painting onto, but something like this I would rather have a more matte canvas. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to be painting over this anyway. But you can see with the hake brush we can do stippling. We can do lines for the. So for instance, those marks at the foreground of the poppies on that painting down there, I could be doing that with this hake brush like a rake. You won't be doing this, this is really just to experiment and explore.
Is that a purple ink or blue?
That's a purple now.
That's a purple.
See, what I would normally want to do with that now is if I had my diffuser, I should have hit that, it should just spread out. If that was on paper, that would just spread, like that.
That's amazing.
But experiment and explore, that's what it's about. Yeah, I mean, really, really bright flowers.
Would they still do the same thing if you put it on with a brush, or is there no need to use a brush? Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would normally do that. I'd have it in a palette. I'd open the palette again, I'd be mixing them from the palette. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a slightly, this is the thing, what I'm going to be careful of now is I'm going to be doing a slightly different technique to the one you'll be doing because I want to use this texture underneath. But what I want you to do is just block in the background colours, but I'll start with the sky in the same way. Right. Now, if I was going to glaze with this to keep these textures going, let's just see what would happen. So let's just deliberately use a little bit of yellow ochre thinly, for instance. A touch of green on it. So using that thinly, we can let the texture glow through. So we're going to paint, when we do the actual thing, we're going to be, you will do the actual thing, we're going to paint much more thickly with this. But I'm just going to build this up down here, and I'm just letting that texture glow through. So it's experimental. It's quite a bit of glue down in there, so it's still not quite dry now. Because we talked about the possibility of France if you wanted to go over there. So this is now the fatter paint over the leaner paint, and it's giving quite a nice effect, isn't it? Quite different what we're going to be doing in just a moment. So I can work around this darker shape here, right up into it, and leave that darkness showing through. And look at the looseness of brush strokes. Not in any particular direction at the moment. I could just go vertically if I wanted to, working up into the form as well. But just nice crisscross to get a nice glowing effect. It's not something I would normally do for a demonstration, but while we've got the time today, because we've got lots of time, we're coming up 11 now, so I can go back onto that tree and pick that tree down. Really look for these colours. Now, this blue is very turquoise, and it's much more turquoise down here than up here. So I'm going to take a little bit of my light turquoise. I may have to even add a little bit of lemon yellow to it, which I'm going to do. So just little crisscross strokes, losing some of the background now, the texture, just letting it just glow through it. This won't be a lot different now to what we're about to do with your paintings, and I want to bring that blue up into the greys underneath the clouds here. So I'm just going to blend it. I've got a little bit left of my brush. I'm just blending it onto the surface. Mainly vertical strokes. Now this is a bit different from what we're going to be doing in a minute, because I'll be painting this in as one block of this dark colour, and then coming back across with lights. Here I'm painting a bit more like watercolour. I'm painting in the darks, leaving some of the light showing. Back down to here again, and we're starting to put in lighter areas here now. I think for some reason with that, so I want to make some much lighter yellow greens. And I think this would be a good one for me to do the palette knife, painting knife work on, which I'm going to show you, rather than the other one in fact. So the problem is making sure that you paint down to edges, do not leave a halo at the bottom of your canvas. Sunlight. And this is the flat brush, so even with the flat brush I can make look these little poppy heads. A little bit warmer still, so I'm going to take some nuts here and almost pure white. So in the centre here we've got more magenta-ish reds. It's only slight, but they're cooler. And on the outside we've got deeper reds, and then where the light's catching, we've got both very light magenta, but especially more orange. So we're going to start with building up our flowers with just one basic cadmium red, which is an intermediate red. Now I've got two painting knives with me. You remember from the other week the difference between painting knives and palette knives? That the painting knife has the angle and the palette knife is straight through.
I've got one of those. Was that the same thing?
Oh, yes, you get a silver star today. Well, it's a gold star.
I have played about with this just a couple of
one
times.
student's bought their own stainless today, look, so she gets a gold star.
I like these.
I've got some of them as well.
So, yeah, that one's a very useful one. This one making longer marks. But also, I think this one's going to be very useful for the petals because it's got that rounded edge to it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to put on my intermediate red, my cadmium red. It's only just dry enough, but let's have a look now. I've got a nice big lather it on. No, don't mess about with it. So effective, isn't it? You see there a little bit of my magenta coming in, look. Look at the difference that makes. That's this very light purple paper, just a bit idea for fun. You see? And as I say, place them where you want them. So I haven't used the other knife yet. So let's have a bit of fun with that. I've got more versatility with this one. I'm going to start putting a few darks in with this one. I'm going to take some deep purple. Just put some purple marks under it. And then finally we're going to come down to the warms. I'm going to take my oranges, mix up a bit of cadmium orange and yellow. And just where the sun is shining around.
What colours will that be?
This is cadmium orange and cadmium yellow. Come back to my. This is not what we're going to be doing in a minute. Actually, it's going to be far simpler for you when I do the next demo, and much easier than this one. Will that do for that one? So let's move on, and I'm going to rapidly now show you how you're going to work. Not going to bother drawing it out. Sky, again, very similar to what I just did. I'm going to take white into a very mucky palette now, a little bit of yellow ochre. And I'm deliberately going to use a bit of lighter yellow, some of the lemon yellow later with the sky this time to show you how they differ, okay? And let's just have a quick bit of drawing so that the tree is here, just so I know where I am really. Okay, the tree's there, that's my horizon line. Right, going. Crisscross brush strokes, plenty of white. Now, because we are working on to, this is what the lady disagreed with last week, she couldn't see it. That's not going to work, that's not the same, but when it was finished, oh yeah, wow, it's white canvas, it's white paper, so this at the moment looks too dark. Cerulean blue, that's this one, and add that into there.
I don't think we picked that one, did we? No.
Well, it doesn't matter, whichever, either of you, you're going to need some light blues, I've got turquoise, but cerulean blue you're definitely going to need.
Yeah.
And with that cerulean blue, just add a little touch. Now, this is for your greys. From now on, you can make your greys with any of those blues and any of the browns. If I take the tiniest touch of brown into that, it gives me a lovely grey, sort of bluey grey. And the more brown I put in, then of course the warmer the grey will become. I'm going to leave that almost as it is there now, and we're going to go slightly darker in the greys. So here I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine just to show you how the greys differ. So a little bit of ultramarine in this case, and a little bit more of the brown. And we get a totally different brown, grey again. Look, a nice blue grey here, for instance, a bit thin still. Edge of the brush, and this is the beauty of the filberts. We can use them more brokenly, like that. Right up, paint the whole of that in. Don't mess about it. Just keep your brush strokes going across. You can leave little bits of light behind if you want, but you don't have to because you can put the light back in again. Now the sky starts to look lighter because of the darker colours around it. And I want to go a bit warmer, so I'm going to take some more of that. I could even add a little bit of red into it to make this even warmer. So you've got that lovely background colour now. So we're playing the warms, the darks, warm against cools. So I've added a little bit of purple and red into that to make that even warmer. And look how that makes that blue show out as a green now because this is warmer. We don't have to make things bluer, bluer, bluer. We can make things redder next to it to make them look bluer. I'm going to come down to here. Now, this looks just one even colour right the way through. But for our benefit, if we want it to really work, we're going to be better to have it slightly cooler in the background and slightly warmer in the foreground. So I'll take my yellow ochre and I'll add some of that cerulean blue to it to give me a distant lighter blue, green. So that was yellow ochre and cerulean, and I'm going to paint that right the way through in one go, but then I'm going to immediately start to use vertical strokes and texturing it almost straight away. This is my background colouring. Now take a little bit of that and I'm going to just dry brush it. So I'm going to just use a paper towel, take some of that and just come across your trees. Look how this works so simply. Just come across the tree, the layers of the trees, look, with that same colour. And look how simply your trees just appear. Umbrellas. And I'm going to add a little bit more warmth into that still. Could take a little bit of burnt sienna into that.
What's that colour in there?
That's a sap green. I haven't used it yet.
You haven't used it?
I haven't needed to, but it is a warm green. But I want fairly yellow greens at the moment, so down there. It's drying very quickly because this paper soaks it in. You'll have more time than I've got. The strokes like that. It is working, isn't it? Yeah. I've done this before. I've done a whole painting reel of that film. Right up to the background here. Look, little tiny strokes up there. Short strokes, longer strokes down here. Add a bit more. And I can go back to that sky whenever I want as well. Now the sky's dried off now, so I'm going to come back to that very light yellow ochre mix I had and just start to put some of the lights back into here to make that tree look more like a tree by painting the lights back in. Roughly I'm putting it on. I'm not going to pussyfoot. Make your colour, decide your light, and put it on. Got my sky, it's a little bit stronger there, so a little bit stronger with it. Slab it on, thick, delicately. If I push too hard, it shows underneath. Look, if I put it on delicately, you get a whole stroke. So nice and clean. If I don't put it on clean, it's got to be thick and clean. So lovely thick and clean. Using the tip of the brush, I can go right up to quite thin, look, just tickle along here. A bit darker back there, so it's a bit more red. Just tickling along the background. And suddenly the thing's coming to life. You see how I've got two colours going on my brush now? I've got both the orange and the red coming together. And it's dead back there. It's sunk into the green, so I've got to come back here and put the reds. If they sink, you're going to have to come back over and over again. And you can then continue as far as you personally want. This is the loose bit. If you now want to come in and start to paint detail by detail by detail of all these different colours and crisscrosses and these colours, and this is where you're going to have fun. This is why I don't want to do too much for you, because I want you to start looking. Even the oranges that are in the leaves. And we just build it up and build it up until you're happy with your painting. Does that explain enough? Mm-hmm. So you've seen two ways of working up with glazes, fat on lean, and now we've worked up a textural background, and it's still a bit like fat on lean, isn't it, even now? I think there's enough there for you to understand how to go. So away you go.
I can use that, yes, yes.
We have our different effects. There we go. Right, photograph dinner and painting.
I really don't like that sky.
As well, okay. You're just doing the greens now, that's right, they're beautiful. Really, really nice. Use a square brush. Really, yes, you've got the feeling of those now. That's better. Slab them on. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's quite hard to work out the marks you're going to get
with a knife, yeah,
like
but
this,
they're doing really well. And this is gorgeous, isn't it? This has worked
Absolutely.
very well. Yeah, absolutely lovely. Yes, yeah. No, you weren't. You're just saying that. No, I've said it. I know. Be bold. So just plenty of paint. That's it. And just that's right. Place it on. Actually, build your petals. That's great.
Having a survey done today.
On with the house, yeah.
Jolly good. Yep.
Any thought?
I am a big fan of Monet. I'm a big fan of Monet, but it must have been completely unconscious.
And we'll start with you again. How did you enjoy today?
Very much, I really enjoyed it.
Got a lovely picture there too, yes?
I enjoyed doing it with poppies.
Yes. So it's new techniques. And how have you got on today?
I've really enjoyed doing this, and it's lovely to get the highlights in, you know, the use of blue and the way it brings things forward.
Yeah, how we've gone, the aerial perspective, how we've gone warm in the foreground and cooler in the background, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
You've got a lovely, I love the sunlight across you've really got the oranges working on yours, haven't you, on that one, yeah.
No, I really enjoyed that. I didn't think I was going to be able to produce it, but...
No, next time is seaside, so, and yourself?
Yeah, it came together at the end, so yes, I really enjoyed it.
It did. We played with the sky, and it's got the light in the sky.
The colours in the sky. Yeah, really fun. I'm doing the palette knife with poppies. Some really sort of thick red paint. It was really, really good.
But you enjoyed the finger one earlier, didn't you, as well?
That was I really want to have a go at that.
Yeah, I do. Right, so that's been another great day. Next time we're doing the seascapes with a sponge roller of all things. So today poppies, next time the seaside.